guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me again and welcome to a new dragging video. Let's start off here at Louis Vuitton Champs-Elysees flagship in Paris in France. This was absolutely terrible service after spending thousands of dollars here. I waited outside in the cold for over an hour. When I got inside, I had 20 minutes more to wait for an essay. I didn't mind waiting because I understood it was busy. I finally got a CA and they didn't have the bag I wanted. I wanted her to give me recommendations that were similar to any style that was timeless or classic. She showed me a bag that was bigger than the one I wanted. She also tried showing me another bag, but she couldn't find it. I'm not sure why they make the CAs look for the bag when there are stock people. Seemed really unorganized. They do that at the Champs Louis Vuitton. I also wanted to compare different sizes of the bag, and 45 workers started freaking out saying I couldn't touch the display. First of all, if you don't want people to touch the display, put a sign saying do not touch. Second of all, I was going to buy one of the bags I was checking out anyway. I just wanted to see size comparison. The CA was not there to help me look at it because she was trying to look for another bag. It was really rude customer service. I went to Chanel. They let me touch things. I don't know if it's because of the way that I was dressed. I wasn't even offered water after making a $5,000 purchase. I felt like I was shopping at Forever 21 and not a high-end store, LOL. I also wanted them to hold my items at the store after I paid because I was going to travel around Europe. At this point, I wasn't even surprised when the CA told me they don't offer this service. She said, quote, "This is a buy and sell store," or something like that. Interesting how Chanel held my items for me. I was actually dressed in warm clothes, but they weren't the nicest. I was expecting to be waiting outside. I've been in sales most of my life. I wish I spent my money elsewhere. You know, the thing I think also to note with the Champs store, and this is just a warning to anyone who's a Louis Vuitton louser who's never been to Champs, I would recommend you go. It's the mothership store for Louis Vuitton worldwide. But I think you need to temper your expectations. All the top spenders of Louis Vuitton tend to go to the Champs store or the Vendome boutique. But the Champs boutique, there's a rumor that there's like a private suite for VIPs. Forget private rooms to show you things. There's like a private suite, almost like a flat. That's a rumor that I've heard about that particular boutique. And like the top people who spend there, they go there. And there's just so much competition, I feel like. So I feel like it does feel super transactional there. So I think if you are someone who prizes kind of, spending your time trying tons of things on, maybe some of the other Louis Vuitton boutiques that are close by, close to Champs, there's the Avenue Montaigne boutique, which is obviously on the Avenue Montaigne. That's the one that's physically closest. And then obviously you have the Vendome store, maybe go there, because I just feel like there's so much competition. In the case of this dragging story, I'm not surprised, because definitely there is a feeling of the CAs there, unless you're buying exotics or like ready to wear or a leather capucine. There does seem to be a disconnect. I highly doubt that this was a capucine purchase, not justifying it, but I'm just saying it's just really competitive there. Same location. I was disappointed in this store. We were right beside another LV store in Paris earlier that day. This is probably Montaigne. But I told my boyfriend, everyone loves this location, Champs more. We should take a car here. That was my first mistake. Next, when we arrived to stand in line, which I knew was a possibility, we stood in line and a lady in front of us lit a cigarette, blowing it in my face. The staff was staring at her, rolling their eyes, but didn't make her take it out. Everyone in France smokes, honey. Everyone in France smokes, so no one really cares about that. Nonetheless, I was really excited to go into the store and dreamed of buying my first LV in Paris and having it hot stamped. I'm not sure what went wrong here, but I can only guess I was judged by the staff. I was not in sloppy sweats or a t-shirt, but I was wearing tennis shoes from walking around the Louvre all day. I looked very presentable in my opinion. I couldn't even get staff to assist. They had people sitting at the counter showing them bags, but I couldn't get anyone to look at me. Ended up searching for a female SA and asked her if she spoke English. She said, "Of course, we all speak English in this store." I thought, great, they're all ignoring me, LOL. Anyway, when I asked her for help and for the bags I was interested in, she acted as if I was a burden. I felt snubbed and not cared for. I actually walked out of the store upset along with my boyfriend. Terrible, borderline humiliating. I've decided not to visit any more LV stores in the city, so I don't want to go through this mess again. Yeah, again, Champs, honey, Champs strikes again. getting everyone skull dragged. It is just such a competitive location. This does not surprise me at all. There's so many people milling around. There's so many people like walking around there, and everyone's just kind of like really busy. I'm really surprised that this happened because I do feel like if she had said like, "Hey, I want again." You just listen to me. I know it's become like a practical joke on this channel at this point, but I really feel like at the door, if you say, "Hey, I want to buy something today," and I think if you're actually really specific, it's not a bad idea. I want to buy a Capucine today. They're going to have that Veuve Clicquot and that Moet open before you can say Moet. Seriously. So I feel like also I think it can be tempting because you're curious to see the store to be like, oh, I want to look around first. But I would focus more on buying the item and then you can look around afterwards once you have the CA, because this location is just so competitive. Again, you don't need to ask people in the touristy stores if they speak English. They know that most clients are going to be speaking English, Mandarin, Japanese, Korean, Arabic, Russian, and so on and so forth. There will be CAs in the boutique who can speak all of those languages that I just mentioned. Particularly at LV flagship, there'll be CAs who can speak those languages. The next one is the Louis Vuitton boutique at the Place Vendome in Paris. I'm really disappointed about my experience that I had at the Place Vendome store. I was excited to purchase a bag, especially knowing the savings on the purchase and tax since I traveled from America. When I was ready to buy the bag, the SA asked me how I'd be paying. I informed her I was from the States and just arrived. I wasn't familiar with which method to choose. And I asked for the one to give me the best savings. I asked her if she knew what people from the US selected, and she said, I don't know. They just pick any. I asked her what's the difference. She said, again, I don't know. I looked around to see if she would ask anyone, but there were a few essays in the morning and they were tied up. I asked her again. She said, I don't know. Girl, how many times does she have to tell you she doesn't know? I ended up selecting US dollars only to find out from my hotel that I should have chosen euros. My hotel told me to take the bag back, get a refund, repurchase the bag in euros. When I arrived the next day, I was told it was too late, and if I returned it, the credit would be given to me in euros, not dollars. I spoke to the manager who apologized. She said it was the store's fault, along with 2 other essays. They said that the essay should have known, and she should have asked another team member. I was hoping to save extra money, but I'm disappointed as I lost the additional discount. I mean, I don't know. I feel like this is being I think you're being a bit nitpicky because you're going to get the VAT refund anyway. Okay. And also, sorry. Okay. Some of you are going to have a moan at me in the comments, but I think that's common sense. I mean, why would you choose dollars? You're in France. Why? That doesn't make any sense. Guys, that doesn't make any sense. Think about that for a second. Imagine me in New York. And I go to the Louis Vuitton flagship store and I get an option to pay in my currency, Tanzanian shillings, or to pay in dollars. Come on now. Girl, bye. The next one is the Louis Vuitton boutique in the Saint-Germain area in Paris, France. My wife and I had a very disappointing experience at the LV boutique in Saint-Germain-des-Prés. She made a purchase and was prompted to choose a currency. It strikes again. She accidentally selected USD instead of euros, which resulted in over $80 lost due to hidden exchange markups. No one explained consequences, and when we returned to the store to seek help, the manager was unhelpful and dismissive. I don't know. I feel like, again, you're just being a nitpicky tourist trying to be like, I need to save every single pound, penny, shilling, euro from the transaction. Again, common sense to me would say, that's just me. I don't know what everyone else thinks. I think some of you will be upset with me, but I don't know. I think it's a bit childish. The money you'd spent in the Uber or the Bolt car going to the boutique is just money wasted that you could spend doing other things that are more fun. Am I the only person who thinks that is like a waste of time? Same location, Saint-Germain-des-Prés, Louis Vuitton. Service overall was below what you'd expect from a luxury brand. The first time we went here, the doorman didn't open the door for my wife and no one approached her to offer assistance. I had to ask for help. It was a really hot day. We weren't even offered water until I requested it. I actually asked for a Coke and they told me they were warm. To make matters worse, one of the bags my wife considered had a visible smudge on the tag. The SA tried to rub it off with her fingernail said it was normal and there was no other stock available. We visited other LV boutiques in Paris, had great experiences. Sadly, this one felt rushed, careless, and more like a tourist trap than a flagship store. This is the boutique that has a really cool facade. It looks really retro. I think it's one of the older boutiques that they've had for some time in the city. And this is the Parisian boutique. So French clients like to shop at this store. You know, I don't know. I feel like with things like this, people are super sensitive about the drink stuff. Some people get really sensitive about it and feel like if you're not offered a drink, it's a big deal. Other people decline drinks. I don't know. I'm on the fence about that one. The next one is the Cartier boutique in New York in America on Fifth Avenue. My experience at Cartier Fifth Avenue was disappointing. I had an appointment booked, but I came in 15 minutes late. The person who took my name down told me that an essay will be assigned to me and that he or she would approach me. So I was just browsing the store and I even went to the bathroom. I was looking at watches in the mail. Essay was really rude. I was asking about sizes. That essay snapped to me. He asked if I had an essay and that I needed to check in. I felt really embarrassed because he said it super loud. He sounded annoyed, and the lady at the check-in desk was also rude and insinuated I was 15 minutes late. I was just asking about the essay that was assigned to me. I ended up buying a watch. Thank God the essay that was assigned to me was very nice. Okay. So eventually the person had a good experience, but was skull dragged from the moment they walked into the Fifth Avenue mansion for Cartier in New York in America. Cartier are weird about this stuff of like the essay will approach you themselves. That was something similar. It's like what happened to me at the Cartier Champs-Elysees store last year. Same thing, like they approach you or they're like, okay, you can go speak to this person, and they already know that they're going to be helping you. It's unfortunate that the person was snapped at. I don't know why some essays are like, I don't know, they're kind of snappy, they want to kind of drag you as well because you're not following the rules. It seems like a bit of an overreaction. Same location. I'm terribly disappointed that Cartier doesn't stand by their product. I have an original love bracelet that I've cherished for years. I've kept it in good condition. It broke recently and I brought it to the Cartier store and was met by staff who were not friendly at all and was told that the company cannot repair it. I was shocked that such a luxury brand would have such poor customer service. My only option would be to purchase a new one from retail. This is unacceptable. Why would I purchase a new one? If there's a chance that it could happen again, then I'll be put in a similar bind. I hope to hear from management with an acceptable resolution. Baby, they do not care. Let me stop you right there, honey. Like, if there's anyone that doesn't care, it's Big Cartier. It's the most sold bracelet in the world, the most popular bracelet design in the world. They're not going to be losing any sleep over someone complaining about the repair of their bracelet. The next one is the Louis Vuitton Vancouver boutique at Holt Renfrew shopping department store. Does the staff actually work here, or are they paid to stand around gossiping and ignore clients? I visited the store at 11 a.m. was surprised to find it empty. No clients, just essays, not a single greeting. I had to say hello. I asked about a specific $1,200 wallet I saw on the website, and the response was really dismissive. Oh, we don't have that here. When I asked if it could be ordered, the answer was we don't have it available. That's it. No alternative suggestions, no effort to guide me to similar products, no mention of which store site might have it. This is basic customer service. I was ready to buy after a great year in the stock market, cash in hand. Instead, I walked out disappointed. You know, this is going to sound really horrible, what I'm about to say. And I hope the Glamazons who are sensitive don't be offended. I'm not one for changing my opinions. If you don't like what I have to say, we'll just agree to disagree, and everyone can keep their wig on. But it's sometimes I feel like with this dragging experience, sometimes I feel like there are some essays who honestly much rather not even have sold you the product because they just don't think it's worth their time. $1,200 for a wallet, that's good money. That's a good chunk of cash. Is it a ton of money? No. But is it a good chunk of money? Yeah. And particularly because it's not like the person made an appointment, the person walked in, there wasn't anyone there. But sometimes I feel like there's CAs who just kind of feel like, honestly, I'd much rather not sell to you and you're going to spend 1,200 Canadian dollars when today I have 5 clients who are going to spend 20,000 Canadian dollars a piece, and I'm going to sell 100K today. So even selling that extra $1,000 wallet, some CAs feel like it isn't worth their time. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying I agree at all, but it is something that I've noticed. Some of them are like, I can't really be bothered, to sell to you. The next one's the same location. They seem all nice and welcoming when you walk in the boutique. They're really nice when you show interest in buying a bag. Once you tell them, I'll think about it, their attitude changes right away. Cold as stone, packed everything up and walks away without saying anything. No wonder there are not many clients in the store. I don't know, girl. Let me tell you something, okay? I'm sorry. I don't like when people are like this. This is really super annoying. We've talked about this before. And I think maybe we should just talk about it now. I do think that there's an art to browsing, and there's a difference between being a browser and being a time waster. If you're browsing, you're not necessarily a time waster. A time waster is the following. People who you get the essay to show you a ton of bags with zero intention of buying. And I think also leading the CA on that you're going to buy and then changing your mind last minute. I don't know. I think that's in really poor taste. The person walked in there seeming like they're going to buy, here when she says, she admits totally here, they're nice when you show interest in buying a bag. And then when you say, I'll think about it. Well, why did you walk in and pretend to show interest in buying a bag and then tell them, I'll think about it? That's outrageous. This happens to us a lot in my one of my like consumer businesses here in Tanzania. We get a ton of telephone orders. Tanzanians don't do online shopping. People don't order things online in the way that people in the West do. People call your business and then they arrange deliveries. And we get a ton of these telephone orders, and we get heaps of people like this lady. That's why I had to put this one in today's Dragon Review. People literally, today, we've had dozens and dozens of people who've been like this. Like, I'm really interested in the product. When I'm ready to buy, I'll let you know. Why did you call? Like at the office, we all talk about it. And the team who do the calls and pick up all the calls from the potential customers, they're just like, I'll never for the life of me understand why people do this. And in fact, it even inspired some of my sales team to completely change the way they shop. And I have said, after my experience doing business and also having an interest in luxury shops, I have changed how I shop. Like I said, browsing and time wasting is completely different. She was not browsing, she was time wasting. You gave the CA hope that you were going to buy a bag, then you snatched it away by saying, I have to think about it. That means you're not going to buy, gal. You're not coming back to buy it, and you know it. And you know it. Okay? Whereas browsing is more like, you're going there to look at something, because you're browsing or whatever. You're going there, to look at something, but you're clear that you are just looking and you're not going to buy anything today. And I think like really being clear, like, oh, hi, I'm just, today I'm just looking. So, don't worry about me. I won't take up any of your time. Again, make it sound a little bit better than that, but something like that. This person's a time waster. You are bang out of order and deserve to get dragged. The next one is the Hermes boutique in Tokyo at the Ginza location. I was looking for accessories, not a handbag. It was difficult to find someone to assist if you didn't look or dress a certain way. If you're looking to shop with decent customer service, I wouldn't recommend this location. I have to say, this location, when I was getting ready to post the Tokyo boutiques today, sounds terribly competitive. I wouldn't go here unless I was ready to drop some coins. Very, very competitive. Same location. This isn't my first time at an Hermes store, but it's likely my last. Don't get me wrong, my first encounters were fine. I went to the fourth floor, I was treated with so much disrespect and disdain. I mean, I get it. Maybe I wasn't dressed as nice as other clients, and maybe I was holding another shopping bag, but that isn't considered as prestigious. But when did humanity reach such low levels of social mannerisms? I was simply trying to inquire if I was able to buy a bag for my wife. Again, I get it. It's the most coveted bag in the world. Birkin, obviously. There's a process and they're selective on who they sell it to. But I didn't think it was a crime to ask. But when I did ask, one gentleman simply looked me up and down and pointed me to another colleague. When I approached another girl, she waved me off and said, hold on, and gave me that one finger move and picked up the store phone instead. Ah, that's hysterical. She's like, let me stop you right there, boo boo. Let me pick up the phone. Um, at this point, I said thank you to the floor star and left. I usually don't get too worked up about these things, but man, what an experience! Never again. Maybe I've been spoiled with politeness at other luxury brands, or maybe I wasn't prepared for such high school bully tactics. Either way, good luck to those who want anything from Hermes. Maybe you'll have better luck than I do. The situation at the Ginza boutique, we've heard about it. It's, some people say it's super random. They will show you an iPad with bags and stuff like that, but it'll never be a Birkin or Kelly. Many people have said that, if you're a fluent Japanese speaker or you are Japanese, magically they can be a Birkin and Kelly available, if you have made it past the queue. But then I spoke to a Glamazon who walked in here with her partner, but to be fair to the Glamazon, she is from China. I think it's worth mentioning that obviously China and Japan are neighboring countries, and she walked in here with her partner. Her partner bought a watch. This is a few years ago, and she was offered a Kelly. So I think it's basically, it seems like a very amorphous kind of experience, but at the end of the day, this gentleman's a tourist. He knew he looked a raggedy mess, honey. Okay, first of all, you look a mess. Number two, you are asking for a Birkin in one of the most competitive boutiques in the world, the Tokyo Ginza location. Okay, so much so that one of the Hermes essays was like, 1 minute, please. Hello? Hello? That's what it's giving. Hello? How do I get rid of this person? Boo boo. How do I get rid of them? No, sir, we do not have any bags available today. Again, just why would you do this here? Again, I would go here to look around, but I wouldn't feel triggered if I was like ignored, because it is very clear that there are a lot of top spenders in this location. I think stores where they're heavy top spenders, you need to get out of your feelings a little bit. You got dragged asking for a Birkin with no purchase history. You didn't follow the process for getting in the queue to see what bags are available. They looked at his outfit, boo-boo, and said, no, we're not offering you anything. We know where this is going. She said the S word, scarves. When I tried to give my name at the entrance, an SA interrupted me abruptly and told me to wait inside the store. We ended up waiting for half an hour. While we were waiting, the SA made eye contact with us, but didn't offer a simple smile or greeting. Visitors may prefer to spend their time enjoying Munich instead of wasting time here without being acknowledged. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like, do Hermes essays have like an x-ray of like your head to know what you're trying to buy? Because it's like they scanned her brain and were like, scarves, stay away from me, get out. No, hang on, wait. Okay, same location. I had a highly disappointing experience at the Hermes store in Munich. I feel compelled to share. A week ago, an essay informed me that handbags are generally available in store and can be viewed by simply visiting the store. Based on this information, I made a dedicated trip to the boutique one day. She does say excluding Birkin or Kelly. Upon arriving, I was told I would need to be placed on a waiting list, which I accepted. But then I was asked to remain in the store and wait for over an hour without any communication. I'm currently 28 weeks pregnant. Unfortunately, no one acknowledged or accommodated this in any other way, which made the wait uncomfortable. Yeah, that's 28 weeks. Yeah, 6.5 months-ish. Yeah. After waiting patiently, an SA finally approached me, only to inform me there are no bags. This could have been communicated from the outset. I think it's unacceptable that a brand like Hermes would disregard a customer's time and comfort. Yeah, I think this is just one of those things where you have a pregnant client, I don't know how it is for every woman who's pregnant, but honestly, when I was in Paris, it was about 5 months. I was fine, but I did notice that as my pregnancy was progressing, I was becoming more and more tired. By the time I was like 6.5 months, I was already back here in Dar. I was tired. I was exhausted. I think 28 weeks pregnant. She's obviously showing and her stomach is probably visible. Would it have hurt just to be like, would you like to sit down and chill here and, someone will come and help you? I'm sure they offered her a seat, but sometimes I don't understand, like, why make it so painful for everyone. The essay who told her that they're generally available in store and they can be viewed by visiting the boutique obviously lied to her. The situation in Germany is kind of similar. There isn't pre-spend or anything like that, but yeah, you have to wait and you have to see if there's a delivery, and there's this whole, song and dance about it. I don't know. I think that's just too much effort to go through for bags that are not Birkin or Kelly. To me, that's just so stressful. My head is already stressed just thinking about it. Um, the next one is the Cartier boutique in Sydney in Australia. I walked into the Cartier Sydney store yesterday with my partner to look at some jewelry pieces. Yes, the staff member who greeted us was friendly, but overall the experience left a lot to be desired. The SA who assisted us during the stay made us feel like we were an inconvenience. She was patronizing, kept the conversation brief, and we found ourselves having to pull out answers. There was very little effort to engage. It was disappointing to walk into a space excited about what could be a special purchase, only to be dismissed. Um, yeah, this is, I mean, I have to say, I feel like unless Cartier know you in these like big cities, Cartier doesn't seem like they're particularly interested in like building connections with customers. I wasn't particularly offended by my Cartier experience because I just I was like I don't care, but like I think it does get really hard. The next one was the same location. I was assisted by a really arrogant male SA who practically made me beg for his contact info, even though I had full intention of buying a watch. He told me everything I wanted was out of stock. Even said if it were in stock, I wouldn't be able to reach out to you because I have so many other clients. That's just okay. Understood, but his delivery was really offensive, completely ruined my experience, and I'm very happy to take myself to another maison. It's just unnecessary for you to tell a client, even if it was in stock, I wouldn't be able to reach out to you because there's so many other customers. But there is something here in the Dragon review which I think is worth mentioning. The person does say that they had every intention of buying a watch. I mean, did you buy the watch though? Because if you didn't buy it, that's going to piss off the SA. The next one is the Cartier boutique in Melbourne in Australia. I had a really disappointing experience at Cartier. My partner and I visited the store to choose a pair of wedding bands. You know where this is going. When we entered, no one greeted us. There was a lady who was there. We greeted her first, and only then did she ask what we needed. Um, she was very arrogant and unwelcoming. She didn't offer any introductions unless we asked, and even then said things like, quote, our rings start from XX, and then stopped talking as if to discourage us from looking further. We felt very uncomfortable and unwelcome. In the end, we went to a nearby store, found our wedding bands there. Yeah, talked about this before. Cartier make it really hard for clients who are buying wedding bands and engagement rings. It maybe might even just be worth buying something else. Or maybe if you're going to buy a love bracelet, maybe just pick up your wedding ring as well or something, or your wedding band, I beg your pardon, because this is like the one of many stories I've featured on the channel of how people have said it's like super unpleasant buying wedding bands at Cartier. There's so many instances. I hope no one's going to try and be a Pegasus unicorn saying how they had a great experience. Please don't do that, guys. This is a like pattern of behavior at Cartier. I've said the same thing about the Hermes scarves and shoes situation. If they don't want the customers who buy wedding bands, scarves, perfume, sunglasses, don't sell the product. The next one is the Hermes boutique in Berlin in Germany. This is amongst the rudest experience I've ever had in an Hermes store. The staff members were wandering around with nothing to do. The hostess fancied herself as royalty and too good to be warm to a client. I walked out and didn't buy what I came for. Hermes shop workers already have a really bad reputation for being very pretentious. Sometimes I feel like I said, I wonder if like the pretentiousness is like by design, like to make it really uncomfortable if you're not someone who's there to spend a lot of money, because maybe they kind of feel like someone who spends a lot of money at Hermes knows that Hermes is pretentious, because it is a pretentious, stuffy experience. No one's going to sit here and tell me that shopping at Hermes isn't pretentious. I think the pretentiousness and the elite air is the whole point. The next one is the Louis Vuitton boutique in Geneva. This is the final one in Switzerland. I had a really bad experience at this branch. The store was overloaded and there's little interest from consultants. While waiting, there was no coffee, tea, or champagne offered. When buying, no coffee, tea, or champagne offered. Um, sorry, it's the second to last one. Again, the need for people to be offered drinks, and I think it's important if you're spending good money to be offered drinks, but I feel like at Louis Vuitton, and this is the feeling that I get from this dragging review, they only really want to offer drinks if you're buying something. That's the feeling that I get. The final one is the same place, Louis Vuitton, Geneva, Switzerland. When buying an expensive perfume, they didn't offer me any samples and they just wanted to get rid of me. For whatever reason, as much as I love Louis Vuitton perfumes, and I do, I'd love to pick one up soon if I get the chance to travel super quick, maybe South Africa in the meantime while I'm waiting to go to Europe. I would love to pop in and pop into the Louis Vuitton boutique in Johannesburg and pick up a perfume. But I learned my lesson from last time. I'll probably get some other bits and bobs alongside the perfume because I just feel like the way that, again, it's kind of like the sunglasses, the scarves stuff. Like they really want to discourage you from buying those products, even though they make them. That's the thing that I always find really interesting about this. Like you don't want people to buy them, but you make them so people buy them. You know what I mean? Anyway, let me know what you think about this one. I really hope you liked today's dragging video. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Sign up to the newsletter. It's linked below. Newsletter is super important, guys, for the future of the channel because so many exclusives just go to the newsletter these days. Sometimes I don't post. I update the Facebook group. I keep it active, but I post all of the top exclusives now go in the newsletter, and sometimes I'll come here on the channel to let you know about them. So yeah, make sure that you're signed up for that. What did you think about today's dragging review? And you've reviewed Tails, and what do you think in general about the idea of being a browser and a time waster? Honestly, the one of the Louis Vuitton client who walked in, gave the CA hope that she was buying a bag, and then said she'll think about it. You're wrong for that. You are so wrong for that. Anyone who works in retail or has a business in retail knows how incredibly irritating that is. And you still expect me to roll out the red carpet for you? Girl, bye. No, absolutely not. Let me know what you think about that one as well. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. God bless you all. I'll see you in my next video. I'm out.